Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks and welcome to Inkdependence.com. I'm Mike and today we're looking at some paper. I haven't done a whole lot of paper reviews on this blog yet, but I do use a lot of paper and I have a bunch of pads here that need to be talked about. So we're going to start out with this one, which is the Fabriano Ecoqua. Now I've been using the Ecoqua in this A5 size for quite a long time. They have these nice stiff covers. It's like, I don't know, stiffer but smoother than cardstock or whatever. It's good stuff. I usually keep mine in here. This red one is one that I just broke out for this review. I have a few extras that a friend of mine found on sale at, of all places, Marshall's. So you never know where you're going to find these. These were $5 a piece. You find them for $5, $8, somewhere in between. But lots and lots of paper in these guys. They have a nice glue binding, and this goes flat. You can just tear these out. You can't really turn pages in these. That's really the only problem because the glue binding will break and the page will fall out. But here's how I usually take care of it. This is a franklin-christoph A5 zippered notepad holder, the Padfolio, and also a cool product. I'll review this some other time, I suppose. But the way I use this is often to keep track of my my classes. So I teach a lot of classes as a university professor, and so this is sort of how I keep track of things. This here is just places where I stick notes that I need to remember immediately. These are little pads of post-it notes that I've stuck directly to the cover, etc. And then each page here has, I don't know, a day worth of like very, very quick notes. And these are actually shorter than usual, but they tell me where I started and ended my lecture. They tell me announcements that I need to make, that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, I just kind of tear this out and I can put it either in the back as I used to do, or now that I have one of these Padfolios, I stick it in here. And I've actually been using this Padfolio for like a year. So, you know, it's got a few little scuffs and nicks and that kind of stuff. That's the joy of this this leather. I think it actually looks kind of cool. So that's the one I've been using for a while. Let's look at some deets on this stuff. These are 85 grams per square meter, so a pretty thick paper, thicker than the Rhodia that I usually use for ink reviews and all that kind of stuff. However, it is not coated. It is just kind of thick. It's got a nice bit of texture to it, not much. I can totally use pencils on here as well as ballpoints. Let's go ahead and zoom in a skosh so you can see what we're looking at here. So here we go. It's 90 pages. They're glue bound, as I said. They are this Fsc Certified Paper. There is an Fsc certification number. This is official. You can look up the who holds the registration, and it is the company that they get this stuff from, this paper. I have here written with all manner of different pens, including, I know, pencils, because, you know, sometimes people use pencils in these guys, and not every paper is pencil friendly, just like not every paper is fountain pen friendly. So this does seem to be fairly pencil friendly. It wrote just fine for a pencil. Rub on it doesn't really seem to come off much. This is both a B and an HB pencil. These are a variety of different fountain pen inks, from fairly wet ones to ones that I know don't ever go through anything, from fine nibs up to music nibs and big stubs and all that kind of jazz, to very, very wet KWZ inks. These down here are gel inks and roller balls. And so gel inks, roller balls. Oh no, I don't have any roller balls. Yeah, I do. V7. I've got the gel ink and the 307 and the G2. This is a ballpoint. All of these seem to work just fine, especially this ballpoint 1.0. A lot of people don't like the Jetstream 1.0 because it tends to skip or whatever, but that's not my experience on this paper at all. It's got enough little bit of texture to it to really keep that ball moving. So let's go look on the back here. In fact, let me just go ahead and tear this out. Well, let's turn it. Yeah, there we go. And you do see a little bit of bleed through, but it's really just here, which was the big music stub that I have going on. And that nib is tuned to be extra wet and extra broad. It's been actually flattened out into a stub, and so it doesn't have the ball on it like it usually would for a Sailor music nib. So I'm not shocked that went through a little bit. You also see a little bit of hint here from the KWZ Hawaii Blue, and that also is a pretty wet nib. So I'm thinking that's probably it, although I don't have much experience with this ink to tell you whether it usually bleeds or not. But it does seem to come through just a little bit, and of course nothing else has. So this paper actually holds up really well for an inexpensive paper that you can find at like an art supply store or an office supply store, or if you have a good one at a campus bookstore. NC State has a very good campus bookstore, and I used to pick these up all the time there. So there we go. All right, so that's the Fabriano Ecoqua. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And and this does come in a variety of modes. I really like the dot grid because it gives me lots of flexibility. You can turn it this way and right. You can do it this way. You can make boxes and lines and all this kind of stuff and take up as much room or as little room as you like. But it does come in, I know, graph and lined as well. I just always get dot. So let's look at the paper color compared to a bunch of other stuff. Here we have a Life notebook. This is the cap and note from Life. And you can see the difference in the color there. The Life notebooks are a little bit on the sort of amber side, while this is pretty white. It's not the whitest paper, but it's pretty white. Here is another one that's a nice sort of white color. This is the Mnemosyne, and now you can see the difference between the Life and the Mnemosyne here. Mnemosyne is pretty white, but again, not the whitest paper. Here we have, get to a blank page. This is a Nocco dot dash notebook. There we go, which is whiter, I think, than all the others. We'll go ahead and move these off. There's the dot dash notebook. And then here is a Hippo Noto. I'll be reviewing this in the nearish future. And the Hippo Noto is about the same as Fabriano. It's a little bit whiter in this Tomoe River paper. You can definitely see it's a little bit whiter. It makes this start looking a little bit cream. And then, if you want the whitest paper around, this is Rhodia's. This is a Rhodia dot book, which is a pretty cool thing. It gives you perforations and all that sort of jazz on the side, as you tear out pages. And there you go. You can see it's like a lot whiter than any of these other offerings. So here are some pros to this Fabriano paper. One is that if you are a person who likes to tear out pages from a notebook, like I am, this is going to be great for you because these pages will just come right out. I use both sides of these guys for my class notes, and that's why it takes, when I have a dedicated notebook, it'll take, I don't know, a year or two, because I'll put, 2-3 weeks, depending on how many classes and how many notes and that kind of thing on a page, flip it over, put it back in, and I just kind of set it back in, and the glue binding here tends to keep it in there. This does fold flat, and if this were a new or an old book, you would be able to see that it would stay flat better, but it doesn't have any problem staying closed at all. This paper cover is very tough. So I haven't actually had one of these wear out on me, even though I've been using it. And before I had that zippered portfolio, I just threw this in my bag, and these covers do hold up really well because they are 290 grams per square meter. And I'm not familiar with this Cereotelon paper, Cereotello paper, but it seems like it must be pretty good stuff. So there we go. All right. You can use all the sides on this. You can turn these, but do be aware this glue binding is sort of meant to let you tear pages out, and so that will weaken and you might lose pages at the end or beginning. So anyway, there you go. That is the Fabriano Ecoqua. Let me know if there's other stuff you'd like to see in these paper reviews before I do too many more. I can integrate some more stuff. If there are things you want to know about this, please leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And so until later, peace out.